What's up, people? It's your boy coming at you again. Another video. So this video is mainly about recaps and resets. None is better than the other. It just depends on how you work your clock and how you do things, and it depends on what position that you're in. Let's talk about resets first. The reason I made this video is because of where I'm at. I'm not taking a reset, but the good thing about resets is if you're in an area like where I'm at, I'm in Tampa, I'm at my favorite place. I was here before. You see the ocean water. I was here before, and I just like stopping here. Kind of takes my mind off of things, and I can see something other than a truck stop. But I keep looking over at this dog. I'm trying to make sure he don't mess nothing up. Alright, so he's sitting in the seat, chilling. I usually keep him on a leash when I get out the truck, because he'll get into something and it's over with. But the thing about resets and recaps, when it comes to a reset, it depends on, if you're a company driver, the pros and cons of resets. Let me start off with that. For company drivers, the pros is, of course, you can take some time off because they're going to be giving you loads and you have to get your rest. Or you can run off of recaps. And everybody needs a reset sometime. You can't just run periodically. You get tired sometime. The pros, I'm gonna go with company and lease, because I'm leasing now, and I know there's a lot of company drivers that's watching this. But the pros with a company driver is, you get that time off, you get your 34-hour reset, and you can get some rest. The bad thing is you don't know where you're going to be when you take that reset, because you don't have a choice of where you get to go. That's the only thing. But a reset's always good. If you have to take a reset, that means been running hard. Like you was running hard till your clock just went out. That's one thing. Now there's two reasons why you have to take a reset. But that's the main one. If your clock is just running hard, not your clock. If you're just running hard, you're just doing a bunch of loads. You know what I'm saying? You done told, as a company driver, you done told your fleet manager, like, hey, give me 3,000 miles a week. And they just run you hard, and then you run out of time and you have to take a reset. So that's a good thing about a reset. When it comes to company driver, that means you was running hard. You deserve that time off. The bad thing about it when it comes to a company driver, when it comes to a reset, is you don't know where you're gonna have a reset at. Now, the reason I say that is, yeah, they're gonna ask you, do you want to run off of recaps, and they'll keep sending you loads, but you don't know where you're gonna go. You can request somewhere to go if you're good like that with your fleet manager, but if you don't have a request of where to go, then you may be in Michigan or somewhere and you got to pull out your skis and your snow boots, or you may luckily be in Florida like where I'm at. You know, and the good thing as a company driver, if you're running off of recaps and you end up in Florida or something like that, then yeah, you could say, hey, I want to take a reset. I need to take time off. I need to refresh. That's what they say. They say I need to refresh. So if you're in Florida, a good part of Florida, you can say, hey, don't send me no more loads. I need to take that time off and I need to refresh. But nothing wrong with resets. A lot of people run off of recaps. I know somebody, you know, that was a company driver and they just drove off of recaps. Only thing with the when you okay, well let me stick with the reset. So yeah, that's the good thing about a reset. As far as when you leasing, the good thing about leasing when it comes to resets is you have a choice of where you want to take your reset. So I'm not taking a reset now, but let's just say right now I'm running off of recaps. But let's just say I wanted to take a reset. I could chill here for 34 hours, probably, you know, go fishing. There's a fishing pier right down the road. You know, I could just say, hey, I need to take a refresh and I need to take a reset. So I have that choice because I chose to come to Florida. That's the load I picked. I picked the load to Florida. And that's, you know, with lease operators or whatever, or even owner operators or whatever, you know, you choose your loads. So with owner operators or with lease drivers, the good thing about a reset is you can choose where you want to take a reset. Especially if you had a good week. If you had a good week and your time ran out, then sometimes you don't have a choice, because if you run really, really hard, and it's the same with company drivers, if you run really, really hard, then your time is going to run out before that recap comes, so you ain't got no choice but to probably take a reset or sit for a day. But if you ran however you want to run and you feel like you did a good job or whatever, then yeah, you can pick a load to wherever you want to go. You know, for me, if I want to go to Atlanta, I just pick a load going to Atlanta, and then I take my reset there. You know, I guess that's the good thing about leasing. You have a choice. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with a reset, man. You could do so much on a reset. If y'all saw my other video with Houston, I wasn't on a reset, but I was in Houston at the time, and I got out. But let's just say if I was on a reset in Houston, I probably would have stayed out just a little bit longer than what I did. But, you know, for us being truck drivers, you know, you can go anywhere in the U.S. and you could take a reset. So, you know, nothing wrong with a reset if you can take a reset. Now, I do say this: if you've had a bad week where you didn't get the miles that you wanted, whether that's a company driver or whether that's even a lease operator, because we get the load boards, but the good loads are not there every time. It depends on where you are in the U.S. For instance, when I go to South Carolina, they may have like one good load that's going all the way up north. You know, when I come to Florida, every now and then there may be a good load, 1,000-mile load or whatever. Orlando, you know, I went from Orlando to Texas. you may catch them good lows, but you may not. So you may have a bad week. Just because you're leasing a truck doesn't mean you're gonna make more miles than the company driver or whatever. So my thing is, like, if you're going to, what was I saying? So I forgot what I was saying. Lost my train of thought. But anyway, take a reset if you had a good week. If you had a bad week, I recommend you keep going, which is recaps. If you're running off of recaps because you had a bad week, then do it. Keep running off of recaps. At least because you could have a chance to make up that last week or whatever. Let's get into recaps. Nothing wrong with recaps to a certain extent. When it comes to recaps, it just depends. If you had a very bad week where you wasn't driving that much, then you're going to have a lot of recaps the next week, and you can kind of make up that week that you did. If you had a decent week, you had a good load and maybe like 3 bad loads or whatever, your recaps may be a little shaky. And there's nothing wrong with running on recaps. It's just what happens is when you start running off of recaps, you're going to have a day where you're only going to get like an hour back, maybe an hour or 2, maybe 3 hours. And when you have 3 hours to drive, if that's all you got, you ain't got no choice but to take a reset. So, you just going, wherever you are, there's no, I just got attacked by a bird. No matter where you are, you're just going to take that reset, because there ain't no point in driving 3 hours. I usually personally run off of recaps, not for too long, but if I had a bad week, if my last week was bad, I'll run off of recaps the next week, because I know I'm going to get a lot of hours back. I had a bad week last week. It was not the week I wanted, but I got recaps. I got 10 hours back today. I'm only getting 4 hours back tomorrow, but the way I did my loads right now, I kind of stopped a little early. That 4 hours is going to add to what I got, because I'm supposed to be going back home to Atlanta this weekend. So I want to make sure I got my hours. But with recaps, for owner operators or for lease drivers, recaps can mean one thing. Recaps mean you have control. As a lease driver, I can run off of recaps all day to get to the place to where I want to take a reset. That's the good thing about recaps. So if I'm running off of recaps and I say, hey, I want to go to Florida, I want to go to Tampa, I'm gonna get the loads that's gonna take me to Tampa, and when I get to Tampa, I just call them and be like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and take a reset so my clock can start over. So that's the good thing. You got a choice, which is what I was saying with a reset. With recaps, for a lease operator, you can run off of recaps till you get to the place that you want to be, and then you take a reset. For a company driver, you can do the same thing. You can run off of recaps as a company driver, and you can let your fleet manager know where you're trying to be. And before they send you that next load, that's when you tell them, like, hey, when I get to this place or whatever, I'm going to take a reset. That's pretty much how that works. So resets and recaps, the only reason I'm addressing this because a lot of people ask me, what's the best thing? What should I do? Should I keep running off of recaps? Should I take a reset? I mean, it's highly up to you. Just know when you're running off of recaps, if you don't know how many hours you're getting back, then there's going to be days where you only get 3 or 4 hours back in, and you got to run off of 3 or 4 hours, and then you got to sit anyway. So you might as well take a reset. But if you have enough hours to where your recaps are giving you enough time to make a long run or whatever, then you're good. And I hope that answers people's questions, because, I mean, there's a good and a bad to resets, and there's a good and a bad to recaps. And, when you have to take a reset, let me put it like this. If if you have to do recaps, that could be a bad thing in a way, because as a company driver, that means you didn't get enough miles last week. So by the time when it's time for those recaps to hit and you still got 20 hours on your 70, that means you had a bad week. Like, you ain't even drive. You ain't do nothing. So that's, when you look at it that way, it's like, man, I got recaps, but that means I had a bad week because I can take a reset, but my goodness, you know what I'm saying? Like, and now if you run out of hours, probably like a day before your recaps hit, that means you had a good week. To me, that means you was running, or you managed your clock right, and your clock wasn't just sitting there. If you're sitting, you put yourself in sleep or whatever the case might be, or a lot of times, if you're in traffic for a long time. I was in traffic for 4 hours the other day. That took 4 hours off my clock. And you can't go in the sleeper because your truck is moving in slow traffic. I mean, stuff like that, or I don't know, or even if you're at a shipper or a receiver and it's taking them hours to load, that just means you're sitting there. Your 70's not moving, but you're just sitting there. And it's like, okay, now the next day. So, of course, you won't have to take a reset because you still got hours from being held up at the ship or whatever. There's so many ways you can look at it, so many different ways you can look at it. But I hope this answers somebody's question, anybody's question. I'm here chilling, about to go over here and eat. And just chill for a little bit. But make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, Mike Lana. Follow me on Instagram. If you're new to this channel, you're watching me for the first time, go ahead and subscribe, ring the bell, whatever. And y'all keep those wheels turning, because if them wheels ain't turning, you ain't earning. Keep those wheels turning. Peace out. I'm out. I'm gonna see y'all in the next video. Peace.